Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Welcome to this video. It's a beat breakdown of a dope R&B beat. It's really smooth, has a lot of melodic elements and a lot of movement, and it goes together perfectly. Well, in my eyes, anyway. Of course, we can tweak beats forever and change things up, and we can work on beats until the rest of our lives just on one beat. But I think it's finished enough for my taste. So anyway, if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats. That's PHANATIC, or Sounds for Producers on Instagram as well. So let me jump into this beat. Getting a lot of love from it. It's definitely, I don't know. It's like just, I can hear Khalid on it. Kyle, I think her name's Leighton Green, I believe. I can hear a lot of artists on this, so I'm gonna break it down. So the first sound that I chose was like, I'm gonna play it here. Check our snap to grid, cool. So I started out with some nice chords. Usually I start with chords just to kind of get the structure of it. So check it out. And notice these are very interesting chords. What you can do is take out certain notes out of the chord and play like double up at the bottom. See what I mean? Because I got the A sharp here and A sharp here, B there, A sharp, B, B. So I took an octave, basically 8 notes separate, to kind of give it a more full sound. And notice also these are like off the grid. So a quick way to do that, Control A, Alt S, and you can kind of use the time to shift them off. And I'm going to cancel that so I don't ruin the whole vibe that I had going on. So that's a quick way that you can, and you can also use the velocity. Notice there's different velocity for notes. So just this one pattern is very unique because of the chords that I chose to do, the octave work I did in the bottom, and also the timing of them and the velocity. So I have a lot going on. And as far as on the mixer, I didn't even do, look at that, I didn't even use an EQ, which is rare for me. So, and that was in complete control. Let me find out exactly what sound is massive, and it's the 3-octave buzzer. So I found some random sound that usually what I do is just go into whatever plugin and just kind of find what sound that I want to mess with, and I ended up using that and it came out pretty nice. And I like the delay and the reverb that it has in the sound. So notice, oops, I didn't add anything to it. It's just a blank track. Just those chords and those type of things that I did to them. So next I added, I believe I doubled up on the chords. We'll find out. So it was a nice pad. I used the same chords pretty much, probably just added a note here and there. For that particular sound was Nexus. It was like an ambient pad, PD ambient pad 3, just to kind of give it like a, why do I keep deleting that? Give it like a little bed underneath, like this softness around it. In R&B, you got a lot of like really cool sounds like that. And notice, I use the same chords again, but with a different sound. So we're going to play that, and actually these aren't the same chords. They're similar. There's some similarities, but I'm not going to get too heavy in the theory. So next sound I added was another pad, so check it out. Very subtle. Here it is with the first pad. And notice the contrast that I did. One's a higher octave, but they're both like really soft and mellow. So here's the first one. And here's the second one. So notice I have one pan to the left and one pan to the right, and one at a higher octave and one at a lower octave. So I'm kind of toying around with the listener, and you probably wouldn't even notice that when everything's playing together, but it just makes it that much more cohesive and a little more creative. Next thing, I think I use Output's arcade to kind of add some touches on there, like sampling. Like I think it was like a string sample, so let's have a listen. I'll play it by itself. And what I like to do with Output is like add just little nuance things. I don't like using too much of that. It's like icing on the cake, and it kind of lays behind the scene. So far we got all those sounds. Let's just select those separate from everything else. And next, I think I did another output. Let me see. Excuse me, arcade. I'm not sure what that is, so we'll find out. It's another layer of sampling from arcade, but I just put it on separate patterns. And I do that so I can have more control. It's like an ARP, so I can have, this is very strange that I didn't use any EQ on any of that stuff. That is strange. I guess I was really happy with the sounds, which is rare for me because I usually use EQ on everything. That sound is this. A very unique sound. It's like to make it extra pretty, especially if you have a female vocalist on it. So I got 2 different patterns using the same plugin but different sample based sounds. So I'm gonna play all those together. See, already mellowed out. So I got a lot going on. 2 different pads. You got the main chords going on. You got like this ARP thing going on. Then you got like this almost video game type thing going on. So, and then I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm feeling nice right now. So let me get into the drums. And I kind of wanted to figure out what type of pattern I go with. So usually I start with a kick. So this is the pattern I chose. And you noticed, right, there's 2 different kicks. I actually layered them, and I did some EQing on these. Actually, I cut the highs in that kick and boosted like the bass frequency around 159 hertz, and on this kick I actually raised the low sub and let all these ride. So I gave it like a little thump underneath it. So I kind of did a little sound design with the kick just to kind of make it my own unique feel for that. So then I added a snare, my bad, a hi-hat on the end of the beat. So it was like 1 and. Wanted to show you something. Notice the shift is all the way up, kind of take it off the grid. Basically I'm moving it forward in time, so that way it kind of has like its own groove. And also I use the main swing, I turned it up probably 20%, so that way everything is kind of off the grid and not just so computerized all the time. And that gives it the human feel. So next I added was I think this is the hi-hat, another hi-hat, but with a different rhythm. Yep. with that hi-hat, I just pitched it down a little bit and didn't use shift at all. So it's hitting on the grid, but it's giving like an illusion because you have two different hi-hats doing two different things. One's using shift, one's not, one's pitched down. So it's a lot of nuanced things, but when it's playing all together, you're like, yo, that's nice. So next I started with the kick. I continued with the snare. And it's actually a clap and a snare. Got that and this. So I did some more things with the clap. Obviously I use EQ. Kind of raise some of this mid frequency here to give it a little more body. And I use Fruity Stereo Shaper. What this can do is basically take your sound and kind of balance it correctly. This clap was actually, I think, all left. Let me turn off all the effects here. And I'm not sure. Oh, okay. Here, check this out. And if you're using headphones or good studio monitors, you notice it's like totally left. So using the Fruity Stereo Shaper, this plugin actually is really good with samples too, because like older samples have like everything panned to the left or panned to the right, and you can kind of use these to manipulate it to get it more even. And that's what I did. So check it out. Big difference with it off and on. Let me turn it off. Now the reverb's kind of throwing you off, but let's turn off the reverb and turn off the shaper and on the shaper. You see the difference? So I fixed it up with that and added reverb to give it a little more like its own space. It's a little bright for my taste now that I'm listening to it again, but you know, it worked for the beat at the time, and then I had the snare doubled up with it. And it actually sounds louder when it's just by itself compared to with everything. So you get the idea. And last but not least, what else did I add? I think that was it. I just faded out. The last thing I added was, I think I used an 808 instead of a synth. Yeah, I used the actual 808. This one here, it's tuned, and with the 808 I use Fruity Parametric EQ2. I cut off the lows. I did a soft curve here, and then I used R-Bass Stereo by Waves to kind of give it this rumbling and also isolate and create some harmonics, like low harmonics with it, just to kind of give it this smoothness about it, but also a little grit off the top. And I use Fruity Limiter to sidechain with the kicks. So let me just play it with the 808 so you can hear it. Notice it's like this rumble. It's like, and it seems like the 808 never stops. It just changes notes. It's very fluid. And it actually complements these type of chords. So I actually did that on accident and I kept it and I was like, oh, this is crazy. So that's pretty much about producing. Sometimes you run into things and you're like, yo, that's dope. It's like a mad scientist that poured the wrong bat of chemicals into a bottle, and all of a sudden they're like, I created something beautiful. That's basically what happened with this 808. I was just like messing around and it came together quite nicely. So I'm gonna play the intro into a little bit of the verse so you get the vibe of the beat, and hopefully you are inspired or you learned something that I did with this beat that you never tried before. Definitely pay attention to your chords, like the first pattern, the type of things that I did with that, and you can kind of notice there's like pretty much the same chords, but used with different sounds, and some are a little longer than others and some notes are added in, but you can kind of play off of just the same chords and just create something fire, man. So anyway, let me hit play and see what you think. almost there. We're going on to the verse. So giving the track some room to breathe. Notice this break here. Alright, you get the idea. So notice I had a lot of movement and during the verse, and also had some space for the artist, because you can't forget about the artist, especially if you're making music for artists. So it came together quite well. Processing wise, you know, I didn't do too much. Here's all my levels. I didn't do any panning because a lot of the sounds had its own panning inside. The percussion I probably panned maybe in the channel rack, because you can do it there as well. I did a little panning in the channel rack with some of the Nexus sounds, but that's pretty much it. Mastering, I used the Neutron 2 and Ozone 8. I turned it off for this demo because of the processing power and tonal balance control to get some balance going on. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So it came together quite well. I'm appreciative of, you know, the people enjoying the music and, you know, supporting the music. And thank y'all for watching. So again, it's DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. And if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats, or Sounds for Producers on IG as well. Peace and love, and hopefully this video gave you some type of gems or something, you know, that you can take and run with it. Peace.